feel like with the pandemic, that is the most I can do. Like it fucked up my ability to plan. So I'm just like, well, I know what I'm doing till March.
There you go. I mean, you
Yeah.
have a plan.
Yeah, exactly. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I am, hold on, currently confusing myself with, good God. Right. All right. Hi. I am confusing myself with what I was supposed to be doing, and I didn't have this set up properly. I'm sorry. Give me a second.
Okay. I mean, Lord knows I know that feeling. I'm always paranoid. Whenever I'm doing like a Zoom recording, I'm always paranoid that I will somehow have messed it up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I usually do, but it's fine because it's live, so nobody cares, right? They
Yeah,
expect it.
exactly. It's about the in-person,
Mhm.
streaming experience. It's you and I conversing. It's the reality of us in this Christmas abyss together.
That's right. It adds a little bit of flavor. It's
Yeah,
like a little
exactly.
extra nutmeg.
Yeah. Are you drinking coffee as well?
I am.
Yeah. I don't have nutmeg in it, but honestly, now
Mm,
I'm kind of like, ooh, a cinnamon coffee. I'd be into that.
hell yeah. Hey, Bronwyn, we talked about a movie called A Snow Globe Christmas.
Yes.
Overall, what'd you think?
Um, I would give it a 5 out of 5 when it comes to being confusing.
Oh, sure, sure.
Maybe 4 out of 5 for trying to over explain itself without actually landing on a like full explanation of the concept.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And
Like it was one of those movies where it goes so hard on trying to explain the like absurd magic, but then it still doesn't make sense.
yeah, they put a lot of extra details in stuff that didn't need any details whatsoever.
And
Just
then
made it more confusing. Uh-huh.
not enough with the stuff that you would be interested in.
Absolutely.
And 5 out of 5 for having some actors that I really like, who I feel like gave it what they could, and
Uh-huh.
that was that. They came to work, they did their job, but what could they really do with this?
Yes, 100%. God damn it. My phone. Okay, sorry. So let's jump in.
Yeah, let's jump in.
All right, we start off with a movie that if there was not a child in this scene, I would assume was pornography. This
Absolutely.
was weird. Like the acting, corny. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. Santa stands up and it's actually dad. Oh my God, I'm not making promises I can't keep. I am the promise.
Yeah, because it's like it starts with the conflict of the little girls like, I asked Santa that dad would come home and he said yes. And then the mom's like, don't give promises to my daughter that you can't keep. And then he's like, actually, I'm daddy. And then he's like kind of hot in the way that he would be for this. And he
Uh-huh.
like smiles and his teeth are so white they're translucent. And you're just like, oh my God, is this porn? But there's a kid here, so I hope it's not. And then it's like revealed that this is actually the set of a Christmas movie. And I'm like, oh, the meta has begun.
Yes. Uh, I don't 100%, I mean, I'm not familiar with movie sets in general, but I don't 100% understand what Alicia Witt's role was. Was she a director, a producer? I don't know.
My theory was she was an assistant director.
Okay.
Because like sometimes the director, like the assistant director does a lot of the directing. I'm saying this only as someone who's been like an extra.
Right, right,
So
right, right.
so like it seemed like the guy who was giving her a lot of shit, who came on, like maybe he was the real director and he's like, oh, I need you to prove yourself so you can actually be the director. That was my theory.
That guy, can we just talk about that guy's outfit for a second? He had like a charcoal gray V-neck t-shirt on with like a double-breasted suit jacket. It's like, I get it. You're super cool old guy who needs to like wear t-shirts with his blazers, but navy blue and gray, not at all. And then
The color combinations in some of the outfits here, I was like, okay, you don't have to be into fashion or art to understand that these colors are putrid together.
Yes. This is not a black and white movie.
No, we have to look at it, unfortunately. So, make it a little easier on us.
Thank you. So Meg, it took me a really long time to figure out what Meg's name was. I don't know if they said it at the beginning, but I feel like I did not hear her name until halfway through the movie. So she's like yelling at everyone, oh, we're going to do this. I'm the boss. And she's walking through and she's like, you guys hear this? There's like, what the fuck is this sound? And it's a bell ringer for Salvation Army, whose name just happens to be Sal. What a coincidence. And that
Yeah.
she's just like, okay, you got to get the fuck out. And she's like, cool, okay.
It's also funny because, like, I don't expect everyone to know this, but Salvation Army is actually not a great organization.
Mm-hmm. That's
like,
right.
They're one of many orgs that's like donated to, if my memory is correct, definitely like anti-abortion, anti-gay rights, etc. And so it's funny for the movie to be like, oh no, she turned down this wonderful. Like, I don't blame when I see someone ringing a bell, I'm not going to come for them because they might not know, they might be trying to help, or they might just need to make a tiny bit of money, whatever.
Absolutely.
But I love that it was Salvation Army.
Yeah. We want to help you get together with this other guy because you guys are heterosexual. Otherwise, you can get fucked because we don't do that here.
Exactly. That's not how we swing.
So she throws Sal out and then she's like, oh, what's her name? I wrote it down. Too small. I don't know. The lady,
Christina Million's character that has like 8 roles.
Yes. 8 roles in one.
There's so much to unpack with that, but I'll wait.
Oh yeah. She's walking through. There's like this whole, it's like the scene in Spinal Tap where they get lost in the backstage of the concert because they're just walking through this thing, or like any given West Wing scene. But she runs into the costume designer, I guess, who has outfitted an extra with a Christmas sweater. And she's like, oh my God, this is perfect. This is the ugliest sweater I've ever seen. I was fucking into it.
I liked it. And then the funny thing is, like, it was kind of implied that the costume designer was like offended. Like, she's like, oh, you haven't seen me knit before. And I'm like, I don't believe that this costume designer who's designing for this corny Christmas movie would be hurt like that.
No,
like, this is one of the few situations where I'm on, like, mean woman's side. Actually, I'm on her side a lot more than I probably should be, but
same.
I'm like, yeah, like, this is the assignment, this is the job for the costume designer, but also, why would they not have those beforehand? You don't need to you can find ugly sweaters really easy. They would not have her be like knitting them on set for like however many extras they have.
No, that's insane.
Yeah.
How long would it take to make one fucking sweater?
Yeah, like, she's like, okay, you just got to stay up all night and make 30 of those. That's not how a set would work.
No, up all night for 3 months. No.
Yeah, exactly.
Which brings me to another point. Why is she making these Christmas movies exclusively Christmas Eve? Why are they not doing this way ahead of time?
There's like this whole thing where, okay, I just want to say that the quote that she constantly says where she's like, Christmas is not for the elves. I know it's supposed to be annoying, but it's so annoying. Like, I'm just like, what? No.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know these movies are supposed to be bad. Like, that's the joke, but I was like, come on, this is painful. But yeah, like you said, I was thinking there's no way they're going to make a Christmas movie on Christmas Eve, because then what, like, first of all, the editing and post, even if it's a bad movie, it's going to take more than a day. So what are they going to do? Release it? Like, is this for the next year? If the whole thing is making money, they're going to release it like on Thanksgiving or something.
Right. They're not, even if they release it the same year, they're going to still make it no later than, say, I don't know, August. Like, what the fuck?
It's so, I was like, okay, what?
Exactly. Oh, we also meet Eric, her boyfriend, who's going to Vegas for Broliday. That's not even a good, like, fake word.
No.
Come on, dude.
Brola day. I was like, come on. I'm
Mm-mm.
actually offended for bros, which takes a lot.
It really does. Yeah.
Yeah.
He has this line that is like, come on, it's fine. I'll be home by Monday for therapy.
Okay, I wrote that down too. And I
Mhm.
was like, is this movie trying to imply that therapy is bad? Like
Right.
it very much felt like one of those moments where they're like these cynical big city people and their therapy. I'm like, that's actually one of the only green flags in this relationship.
Thank you. It's like, oh, we're such a bad couple that we need therapy. Hey, you know what? Lots of great couples need therapy too.
Most
And they
I feel
do
like
it.
most if you're in a relationship for a long time, like it's likely that therapy is going to help at some point.
Absolutely. People grow and change, and that's fine. And you learn to deal with that with their, you know what?
Yeah. Yeah, it felt very Christian to me in that moment where it was kind of like
Yes.
you don't need therapy if you had good values. Therapy is this like worldly thing.
If you prayed a little bit harder, you wouldn't need
You
therapy.
had a relationship with Jesus, then
I'm so glad you understand that.
no, I was like, I feel like Tressa's also going to be annoyed at this part.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So she goes to the Christmas tree set, I guess, and Sal's there putting a magical star on the Christmas tree. There's this whole thing, this whole opening sequence where she's stroking this snow globe, hence the name of the movie, which was just weird. Like they just threw it in there because that's the name of the movie and because she's going to go to this idyllic snow globe town. But
Yeah.
it was still fucking weird.
It was
And
very weird. They could have just had it like sitting on a counter and like, oh, this is like the and they could have had her reference it still and be like, this is what we want our set to look like. But she's like holding it like a cat.
yes, it was fucking
And
weird.
Christina Milian even references it. She's like, "Oh, you're doing the thing again." And like I feel like that's the movie's way of explaining why this grown woman who's like an AD or whatever is like carrying around a snow globe. I'm like, "No, you didn't have to force it this hard."
They really did too. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention is that after the weird porn scene, they're like, all right, that's a wrap. We're gonna cut for lunch, be back whenever, blah, blah, blah. Her boss comes in, is like yelling at her, and she's like, no, it's cool. We're gonna keep shooting. Yeah, that's what you implied at the beginning, that you were going to be still shooting.
Yeah.
And her assistant is like, no, we can't keep shooting. It's New Year or it's Christmas Eve. But you guys just went to lunch. It was pretty much implied you were coming
Yeah,
back to
like it's
continue
not like she
shooting.
said, "Oh, you can leave for the day," and then it's like, "Actually, get everyone back." It's like everybody went on break. This again, this is another instance where I'm like, yes, of course, as we've already stated, it doesn't make sense to shoot this on Christmas Eve.
Right.
But this is you're making a movie. Why why is this like PA so surprised?
Right. This is your job.
Yeah.
You
And she's
asked
like,
for this
"But they
job.
have families." And it's like, yeah, and probably most of them are paying like for their families' lives with the checks they're getting from this movie.
Thank you. So, okay. Sal is like, I don't even understand what happened here. She's like, you want to live this idyllic snow globe life. And she's like, no, I don't even care. And she like drops it and she's like, you don't want it hard enough. Like, you have to really fucking want it. She's like, fine, I really don't care. And like throws it on the ground. I still don't understand
I
why
don't
that
understand.
was.
Unfortunately, I have to say that is the case for me with so many moments in this movie where I was
Mhm.
like, I actually rewinded. This is so embarrassing. I several times I was like, I think I missed something because I'm confused. And then I was like, oh no.
Uh-huh.
I was like, clearly I'm not paying enough attention. And then I was like, oh no, it just actually doesn't make sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like I didn't really understand what the purpose. I mean, I knew the purpose of this conversation was to get the snow globe incident to happen,
Yeah.
but it was like I don't really understand what is being said. Like, is it just like you're in denial about what you want? And she's like,
Yeah.
no, I don't want it. But like, who is gonna say that to like their boss?
That wasn't even like they had no relationship. That
Yeah,
she
like
just met that person.
it's so weird.
I did not rewind because I was live streaming it because how hilarious is that?
I love
So I
that.
had to I had to rewatch it right before our talk today because what the fuck am I missing about this movie?
Okay,
Nothing.
that makes me feel better though, because I was like, wow, I feel bad. I'm really my media comprehension is clearly bad. But then after I watched some TV shows and I was like, no, I know what's going on. Okay, this is not me.
So she throws the snow globe on the ground and it jumps right back up and knocks her out cold and breaks. And she wakes up in the snow globe town and is so confused.
And like Donald Faison is there and he's like, hey baby, wake up. Hey baby, and she's like, what? And he's like, hey, wife, wifey. And I'm like, oh my
As
God,
you
it's
do.
Turk. And
yes, I gotta say, I love Donald Faison and I really like Alicia Witt a lot.
I like her
That's
a
it.
lot too. I like them both. That's
Yeah.
the thing is like, I do think that both of them are good at what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And they tried to bring what they could to this movie. And I also think they're both smart enough that they knew this wasn't going to be good. Like they weren't like, this is going to get me an Oscar. They're just like, okay, like this is a gig. Let's have fun.
Yeah, I think that I felt like they knew exactly what they were getting into and had fun with it. So I
Yeah,
enjoyed that.
like absolutely. I mean, if I was in a position where somebody's like, do you want to be in a corny Christmas movie? I would be like, absolutely, yesterday. Yes,
Yes, me too.
of course.
Absolutely.
So like I am completely like, yeah, do it. But it's still so hilarious. Like just the moment when she's waking up and then her kids are there, her kids with Donald Faison. And of course, like, I mean, in the genre of these movies where someone gets hit on the head and then they have like an epiphany or like go, because that is such a genre. I need to make a comprehensive list of these
Oh,
movies.
that's a really good idea.
Because like there's, like there was that movie with Amy Schumer, there was like the I Feel Pretty. There's so many of those movies in the last few years, especially. Um, just like hitting your head. I'm like,
That's so
okay.
funny.
And when I'm
It's like a really bad 1960s sitcom trope that everyone
yeah.
was like, that's so stupid. We're never going to do that again. And then recently everyone's like, hey, remember that really stupid trope? Let's pull that one out again. It was hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like been used so many times. Like what women want, like it wasn't exactly that. It was more of an electrocution, but I remember that like, was one of those.
Mm-hmm.
But the movie, like once she's in the snow globe land, it's I feel like so 45 minutes of it is just her being like, no, I'm not here. And I'm like,
Yes.
you need to decide whether she's going to be here or not. Like they don't
Yeah.
settle on her. Like, does she actually have a life there? Like it's so expository.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Donald is like, you're my wife. Do you remember me and our beautiful children? But one of the things that I wrote down is after she wakes up, she's like, oh, I'm on set. Okay, I'm in the movie, right? I'm on set. And then she's like, and we got perfect casting. We have this modern photogenic family. And I was like, what an interesting way to say that your children are Black. Modern. She's like, oh, I married a Black guy.
Oh my God. And they're urban.
Yeah, like I was
Quote
like, wow, this
unquote.
movie is so clearly not trying to deal with race, but like it's obviously right there.
Oh my God, that's so gross and awesome.
No, like I know, and the kids are just like, what? I was like, these children.
We're modern?
Yeah, like how am I modern? I'm just a kid.
Okay. Ted is the husband's name.
Yeah.
And he's like, kids, you go home. You guys go walk home. And they live like I'm confused about this whole town's geography. Geography, yes. Because he's like, go walk home, but they live in the middle of the woods. But also you can see it from downtown, but also you can't. But like, what is happening with this town? I mean, okay, it's a dream town, so it doesn't matter, but fine.
No, I also was confused because in some scenes it's very much like, oh, it's a small little town and it's very walkable and there's like 5 blocks and there's, it's one stoplight kind of town. There's like a train that runs around the town. But then there's like giant rural like woods and you
Uh-huh.
can get lost. And I was like, so is this like a small town that's by a big road or is this like really in a mountain? Like
Right. And there's
But
some overhead shot, like kind of close, kind of far of the town where you can see the mountains in the background, but like the foreground is obviously like some town in Europe or Germany or something. That's not the same town. Like, what do you
no,
guys? Come on. Come on.
it was so confusing. And if the movie hadn't spent so much time just being like showing Alicia Witt asking like, where are we? What's going on? Then maybe I would have let go of it. But I was like, okay, well, they don't know either.
Yes. Thank you. So, okay, she's convinced she's living on this, or she's in the set of her movie. Exterior shots. Cool. Now she's running around town. She runs into a cop that just happens to be Sal. And she's like, help me. This guy is trying to kidnap me, which is a whole new aspect that she hadn't said anything about before that line. And he's like, no, 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 I'm your husband. I'm your husband. Okay, but also, not to jump ahead, but we learned that Sal looks exactly like his mom, or is his mom. How did he not see that?
I died when that was revealed. I was like, what the fuck? Christina Milian is somehow like a cop, an assistant, Donald Faison's mom, and then also like at some point she's like, I think cleaning up snow. She's like running a snow plow. She's just like the magical character in
Yeah,
this
yeah,
movie.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
She's the magical, like kind of almost like the Jiminy Cricket character, where she's like, let me show you, you know?
Yep. Ooh, okay. So somehow, like in a blink of an eye, Ted convinces Meg that it's just a concussion talking, like it's fine. And she's like, yeah, it's just stress and energy drinks. It's fine. It's fine. He shoves her in his truck. He's like, oh, we got cameras. We gotta go. We gotta go.
Yeah, it's so I'm also like really confused about where he's at. I do feel like the movie does a better job of kind of showing that a little later. But
Yeah.
he's so just like, oh yeah, everything's fine. Like he doesn't seem stressed. Like he's obviously a little sad that his wife seems to have like a traumatic brain injury or something, but he's also just kind of like, whatever. Like I'm like, she just tried to get you arrested. Your white wife just like tried to get you thrown in jail.
If she had started crying, you'd be dead
Luckily, your
right
mom
now.
was the cop somehow, even though she's dead. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
We get back to their place, which is beautiful, and he's like, I'm gonna make you a drink, which gross. The cocktail he makes her is just eggnog with booze in it, and gross. If you're gonna give me a drink to like calm me down, do not give me a cup of heavy cream. Are you fucking
I just
kidding?
like love that. And of course, one of the ongoing things that's supposed to be a trait of her being this, cynical city girl is like her watching her calories, which like,
Mhm.
I like that the movie calls out that that's not a good thing for someone to do for themselves, like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not healthy to like view your food through that lens. But it's also like the most absurd way. They're not like, oh, enjoy your life. It's like you have to drink eggnog. And like it's actually valid to not want to have eggnog because it's gross. Um, or
Hey,
maybe you're lactose intolerant. Like,
right. I love eggnog, don't get me wrong, but if you're
yeah,
gonna make me a cocktail, I
yeah.
don't want a big cup of heavy cream. But I'm just saying,
Like
just
eggnog, I actually do like eggnog too, in like, yeah, festive settings. But like
yes.
as the regular cocktail that like my partner makes me, that's
Hmm.
that's not a sustainable.
You're gonna have one and need a nap, and not in
Yeah.
like a boozy way.
But it was just so like every day is Christmas in this
Yeah.
town. So this is what
Yeah.
we drink.
Yeah, I felt like it did get a little bit fat shamey along the way because she
Oh
was
yeah.
like, dream calories don't count. I'm gonna eat everything, but now my pants won't fit. So it was weird.
Yeah, it
But
had a lot of, I wrote down that too. Like it had a lot of issues with that and like it being this joke and like she's an incredibly thin actress and they're like,
Mhm.
oh no. And it's this weird thing that a lot of movies love to do where they're like, what if she was fat? Wouldn't that be the worst thing ever? Can you imagine anything worse?
Oh
Her having a
no.
traumatic brain injury is fine, actually. But if she gained 5 pounds,
Gross.
and I'm like, what if she got a better personality? I don't know.
Boring.
Yeah.
In this scene, she also says WWMOD. And he's like, what? Ted's like, what are you talking about? You know, what would Marie Osmond do? Which is the first time, okay, like she mentions it one other time in the movie, but that's it. Like, is Marie Osmond a big Christmas
I was
icon?
so confused. I had to Google her. Like, obviously, I know like the Osmonds, but I
Yeah.
had to Google to be like, is there something about her that I'm missing? And then I thought, well, you know what? This character is going to like talk about it more and it's going to be a niche thing. And
Nope.
it's not. It's just brought back near the end to be like a callback, but it
Right.
doesn't have enough context.
Not at all. It's weird.
So
I don't
weird.
because I kept expecting like, oh, you know, Marie Osmond, she loves blah blah blah. Her Christmas specials, her nothing. I have no idea what she's talking about.
I have no idea either. And I was just like, huh? There's no, like, if you're going to make a character have this whole kind of slogan that references a celebrity, you got to build that into them more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
explain why what the fuck it means.
Yeah.
She what is it? Oh yeah. So they're having cocktails, disgusting cocktails, and their kids or they go outside and she's like, oh, it's so beautiful. The kids come outside and they're like, Mom, Dad, you're home. Yep. And she's like having the best time, like, oh, this is the funnest.
Scream.
She says, this is the best concussion ever, which should have been the name of this movie.
That was my favorite quote, by the way.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And he says something like, are you sure you're okay? You didn't even know our kids' names 20 minutes ago. But she hasn't said their names yet. Like, how do we know
And
she
I,
knows their names now?
no, like, she's just like, oh, look, they're cute and well behaved.
And modern.
Yeah, they're modern. I love our modern children. This will definitely not traumatize them.
Yeah, she's convinced of the dream. She goes to bed. They go to bed. It's cute. They're and this is when we find out that she used to call him Show Tunes Ted in college.
Which, ew.
Yeah, so ew. So ew.
Yeah.
I didn't mention earlier, but she knew who he was because they dated in college and she hasn't seen him since then. Anyway, that's what it was. Show Tunes Ted. Gross. He loves musical theater.
Yeah, like, okay, sure. Teach their own.
No, that's disgusting.
I hate it. Show tunes Ted is just really gross.
So gross.
And like I don't know, it's so weird because so much of the next like 30 minutes of the movie is her seeing people that she recognizes from her real life,
but
right?
only from that set that she was just on.
Only from that set, and not even all of like, I guess really the people that we had speak, right? And then having this moment of like, okay, so you know what's going on, and then they're all just like, no, what's up? We're gonna have Bible study on Monday. We're gonna like, we have the party.
Yeah,
But
which brings us to this scene where she's walking around town in her pajamas because she just woke up and can't believe it's real.
Yeah.
Okay. First off, so many ass shots in this scene.
Oh my God.
He has a lovely ass in those satin pajamas, and they really, really took advantage of it.
They're like, listen, she's packing for who she is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Everyone, she's like walking by people. They're like, hey, you going to bingo? You got it. You going to the potluck? Uh-huh, you know it. It was like a gum commercial. Super fun.
Absolutely like a gum commercial. There's so many little commercials embedded in this movie.
Yeah. She hears a train, she goes to it, and it's her boss who is a train engineer on the quaintest fucking little train I've ever seen in my fucking life.
I was like, wow, okay. Like, I love that he just stops the train. I'm like, are there people on there? Is this like, are you just transporting objects now? What's going on? He's just like, hey.
Yeah.
Like a toy train that they have for children at like a Christmas festival.
Yes, it goes around half a block and just goes in a circle, is what it appears to be.
And she's like, oh my God, you're driving a train. And he's like, yeah. And she's like, you're happy? I've never seen you happy. And he's like, I'm doing what I love. And I was like, okay. And she's like, you love trains? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, first of all, sure, whatever.
Uh-huh.
This whole narrative of like, if you do what you love, you'll be happy. I hate to be, cynical, but like they still live in capitalism. He's still gonna be
Uh-huh.
tired at work.
Uh-huh.
Second of all, just I just like the cartoonishness of like, I'm driving a train. I don't know. Like I love
Absolutely no. That
I
whole
love
train
riding
was
on trains.
nonsense.
I'm sure there's people who actually really love their job, but it was just such a like, as a little boy, I had a toy and now I'm inside of the toy.
I wish it were a dinosaur, though.
Yeah, he's just riding around in a dinosaur.
I also have a little bit of news for these people. If you do what you love for a living, you will not be happy in your work. You will end up hating that thing you love. Speaking
Yeah,
from experience.
you are not going to have the freedom. It's not going to be the escape anymore. It's going to be the work.
Yeah, you don't get to control it anymore. It controls you.
Exactly.
Gross.
You got to keep some stuff, precious like eggnog.
Exactly. So she realizes she can't get out of town by the train, and she's like, ooh, a car. She goes to this car, and she's trying to find the key in the car. I mean, she didn't even pull down the visor, which is where all car keys go.
Yeah.
And the extra from the movie she was making is like, hey, you need help, Meg? What's going on? She's like, oh, I'm just trying to find my keys. Oh, let me help you with that. She's trying to find her keys. She's not
what?
having car trouble.
I
Like,
don't understand. Like, oh, don't worry, I have a copy of your keys because I'm a crazy stalker. Like, what?
yes. And he finds the key.
Yeah.
And then he looks at her, and it's like the most bizarre thing, because he's just like, remember, the key is usually under the mat. No, it's not. No, it is not.
About this is not like a spare key for the house where it's like underneath the plant or whatever. Sure, there's so many moments like that where it feels like a character is supposed to be magical and practical at the same time. Like they're magically helping her, but they're also like, don't you know how this town works? And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Even in this logic of the movie, what are you talking about?
Right. The way he said it to her is like, you fucking idiot.
It's like,
how
wow,
do you
like,
not know?
Your head really must hurt.
So she steals the car and she tries to leave, and the road's blocked because there's a snowstorm coming, and Sal is the driver of the truck blocking it. Can you believe it?
And like Sal, who apparently is like the closest we have to Santa in this movie, is like at this point says to Meg, she's like, everything you have is here.
Yeah.
Like everything you have. No, she says, goes, everything you need.
Right.
Because obviously everything you have is here also. But,
yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't really matter which one you go with because it's just as ridiculous. And Meg's like, like, I'm not going to listen to this, but I guess this is going to be a seed for my decisions later in the movie.
I'm
just imagining some like snowplow driver being like, you need to stop looking for more in your life. I'd be like, are you okay? You need to go smoke a joint or something. What's going on, buddy?
You sound a little bit upset about your own life choices,
I think you're projecting a little.
So then she ends back up at home, and a doctor, the original doctor, is giving her a house call. I don't know why he's there. Maybe people were like, she's being weird. You should go visit.
Oh yeah, I think Donald Faison called her because he's like, she doesn't remember our kids. Also, I feel like the whole time he's like, I low-key want to fuck, but you
low-key.
Like, he's like, I don't want to, you're not ready to hug me. And I really miss my wife, if you know what I mean.
Guy.
Which, like, I feel bad. This whole movie, I felt bad for him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, imagine if this was real life, it would fucking suck for him. constantly being like, I don't fucking know you. Gross. Like, oh,
And
that
she's just,
poor
and the
guy.
way she reacts to her life is very, and of course, this is part of the movie's narrative of like, wow,
Right.
she's snobby and she needs to be humbled because, women that have jobs need to like chill out.
Yeah.
That's like the theme of this genre of movie is like, this woman got successful and now we're punishing her and she needs to quit her job, be a wife in this very old fashioned way.
Yes, that's the only good way.
That's the only way you can be married
And be happy.
and be happy. Yeah.
Caveat. So
So
she's,
she's like really mean to him. She's just like,
yeah,
this isn't, I hate it here.
this is gross. And I need more like stimulation because this place is small and stupid.
And I honestly was kind of like, yeah, I feel bad for him. Like, she doesn't need to be mean to him, but like, that's kind of valid if she wants something different.
Oh, 100%.
Like, yeah, like people need different things. Some people, like, people want all sorts of different things. There's not one way to live, but this movie's like, actually, there's only one way. And I'm like, how is this small town going to function if there's not people who work in metropolises supplying them with the like we kind of need.
Bronwyn, they don't even have the internet.
Oh my God.
What? What? What?
Okay. I was cracking up because the last episode we did, we were like, do they have internet? And this one actually confirmed we do not have internet. They're like, we don't have Google, we just have the library.
They not only do not have Google, they have never heard of Google. What?
What are you talking about?
Okay, we'll get to that. But she's like, the doctor's like, you gotta shock it into her system. She needs to see something that reminds her, whatever. So she goes and jumps off the patio on the second floor. And that shot was great because this was the maniest stunt man that ever jumped off a patio. Is fantastic.
I loved it. Like, big ups to them.
Yeah, for sure. And that's when Sal comes by and she's like, hey, I'm a person doing work in your yard for some reason. What?
Like, there's snow and I'm kind of moving it around, I guess. Like, there's nothing to do because everything's covered in snow.
Right. Yeah, that was weird. And then Ted takes Meg to where he proposed, next to a tree with their initials he carved in. He sings Gilbert and Sullivan. Dude, gross. Just stop.
And she's like, you're like too perfect. You're like a guy I would write. And he's like, is that a compliment? And
she's like, no.
Which I did love. I was like, wow, she's really ripping him a new one. And again, I have empathy for him, but also, yeah, this is really, she's like, you think that me seeing initials is going to fix everything? And I was like, valid.
100%.
She's like, I am in a nightmare.
I don't remember how they got to this point, but she's in the middle of the forest and old man Barnes comes along and she's like, boy, you should sell all this and get rich. I don't know how she knew that the whole woods was his. I don't know how the whole
Me neither.
woods
She
was
literally
his.
is just, also, I love this idea that if you're successful in this like very obvious way, like, oh, you're like working on film sets, that you just are looking at everything and like, how can people monetize? What? Like tearing down a forest is incredibly different than making a movie. And the idea that she's just like, I care about business. She's like, she basically is like, you could make so much money off this forest. And again, she doesn't know him in this town really. And he's just like, the forest is the heart of the town. I could never do that. And she's like, all right. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Right. He's not only like, I could never do that. He's like, not as long as there's a pulse in my chest, which is a weird way to say it. I'll never sell blah, blah, blah. But also she didn't even know him in her real life. She just knew him as the Santa that showed up that she kicked out because she doesn't like
she's
Santa.
like, I'm in a dream, but also I'm going to give people weird advice about like deforesting a small town. What?
Yeah. Come on. All right. So let's see. Ted takes her into town and she is enamored by the store that has miniatures in the window because according to Ted, her grandfather made some like that. First and last time we hear anything about that.
Yep. Ted's so like excited. He's like, wow, like, aren't you excited? And I was like, I'm sorry. I I don't want to say that there could be no adult man who would be like this, but there could be no adult man with like, like even the most like, yes, I'm obsessed with Christmas, wholesome family man in this way is going to be like, yeah, the miniatures. Like what are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. What? And he's like, all right, let's go out to lunch. Something, they make some sort of bet, like if I'm right, you pay whatever. And she's like, I don't have any money. And he is like, check your back pocket. Okay. I have so many whats. Like, okay, they share a wallet. What?
It doesn't make any
No.
sense.
I
That's not a thing.
no, I
Like
don't like to
obviously a lot of
carry.
people share bank accounts, but you have separate cards.
Yes, I don't like to carry a purse, but I'm not going to carry my husband's wallet in my back pocket. And then, second off, how did she not know she had a wallet in her back pocket?
Yeah, you're gonna feel it.
She didn't put it there? What?
He's like, don't worry, I secretly put things in your pant pocket because I'm a good husband. Like, what? He's like, I know that you don't like purses, but you don't because you're in a weird dream.
Oh, fair. You got
Yeah.
it. Okay. So they go eat, and she eats everything because it's a dream and whatever. And she's like, what's the deal with the clock tower? It, this is another thing. It stopped at 2:59, 2:59, the exact time of my accident. How does she know this? How does she know that 2:59 was exactly when she got hit in the head? Because maybe, you know what, I would accept it if it was like, oh, that's about the same time that blah, blah, blah happened. Exactly.
Exactly on the minute. Yeah, like if she was like, that's the last time I looked at a clock. But it's like,
Sure.
she's like, this is obvious. I'm like, I'm sorry, movie. You need to decide what you're doing. This movie was like waffling on the kind of logic around this concussion magic.
Yeah. She sees Eric, her reality boyfriend, through the window, and she goes running to him. And of course, he doesn't know who she is, but she's like,
She's like, she leaves lunch and she's like, oh my God, you're here. And of course, he's playing the mayor and he's like, hello. And she's like, oh, finally. And he's like, what? And she's just like, so like, we're gonna get out of here, right? And it's clear that he's actually the mayor. He doesn't know what she's talking about. And she's like hitting on him. She like almost tries to kiss him. And of
yeah,
course, this whole time, Ted's watching her and he's like, what?
what the
So
fuck, dude?
Ted is getting hurt. And then like she just kind of is like, okay, well, I'll talk to you later. Like, well,
Okay.
I'll convince you that you're my boyfriend.
Oh, all right, lady. And it comes out that the car she stole was his. Whoopsie.
Yeah, yeah. And he's like, you stole my car. And then Ted's like, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. And I'm like, I'm sorry. At this point, this man would snap.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Reasonably so. He'd be like, I need some community help right now. My wife is stealing cars and trying to hit on the mayor. I don't have the capacity for this. We also have two children that we never really have to take care of because I guess they're really well behaved.
Yeah. Although they seem to be under the age of 13, 14, who knows?
Yeah.
Uh, they all go to the town meeting because the big Christmas pageant's coming up. And they always run the Christmas pageant because that's Showtune's Ted. And that's the lady that is Showtune's Ted's wife. And
Yeah.
she walks away, and Ted's like, where are you going? She's like, going to knock it up like I do. I love you, Meg. And she goes to talk to Eric, and she's like, bro, I can solve your money problems with this town. We're gonna develop this shit like a crazy, you know what, like Scooby-Doo, which she doesn't say, but Scooby-Doo is referenced at another point, and that's exactly what she's doing.
I love that. I didn't catch that. But
She
I
was
am
like,
dressed like Shaggy today, so
nice. She's like, she repeats, Christmas is not for the elves to Eric. And Eric, at the exact same time I said it, said, what does that even mean? It's like, oh, yeah, you
I
get
was
it.
finally give us some clarity. And she's like, well, it means that, it's some people need to help make it special for other people. The elves need to do that. I was like, sure, I guess.
All right, it's fine.
Yeah, that's a choice that was made.
Yeah. We get a little preview of the pageant before they decide to ruin it, where the kids go and they open a door and another kid pops up and he's like, there's no room at the inn. And they're it's like, we got to make this better. Let's do this. And she tries to direct these kids in the goofiest, most troubling way ever.
She's like, do you believe in this story? And they're like, what? Which valid response on their part. She's like, do you believe? And then she's trying to like bring out their emotions. Like, have you ever had a hard feeling? These kids are like,
I'm like 13 and I don't like this conversation.
Yeah, they're like, I am not prepared for this.
The way she directs the kid who's supposed to be Joseph was so weird and kind of gross. She's like, does your dad drink?
Yeah. She's like, so what's your home life like? Maybe pour some of that pain into this really one-dimensional like rendering of like an old story.
Did your parents beat you? Come on, you can tell us.
When was the last time you cried? All right, bring that out here.
So weird. And that's when she's like, we find out there's no internet. It's weird. It's weird.
Like, you should just Google it. And one of the kids is like, Google. And she's like, library it. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, no. They get bribes as they walk through the town to get their kid in the show, which, okay.
Again, like that's not going to happen. Come on.
They get home and it's like that night and Ted has drawn her a bath with candles and Christmas decorations. I don't know. And she's like, you know what? Touching me would be like cheating on your real wife.
Yeah.
Poor Ted.
And yeah, she's like, I'm not your wife. And then he's like, every time you say that, it hurts me more. And I need you to figure it out because you're already doing a lot of damage to me and the kids. And I was like, finally, like, all right, there we go.
Yeah. That's fair.
Saying a feeling that seems like an actual feeling. All right. We appreciate that as the
This makes sense now.
And also, again, I'm just like, wow, this man must have really loved his wife.
Right?
Because like the fact that he's doing all of this when she's not responding to any of it,
Yeah.
It's the Notebook vibes where it's going for that.
Never saw it. I will trust your word, though.
Yeah.
We get to the actual auditions. Now there's auditions the next day, and I don't know, they're auditions. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, it's like a classic like audition montage where it's like, oh, look at how funny and bad these people are. But like they're not really even bad enough for it to be that funny. They're kind of just believably like average. And it's like, this is a Christmas pageant. It's not even community. It's not even at the level of like community theater.
No.
Like this is a pageant.
Right. This is the town pageant. It's it is what it is.
And it's also implied that in this reality, her character like doesn't have a job. The only thing that she really does is this Christmas pageant, which is like a 3-day thing once a year.
Yeah, that they start planning Christmas Day, I guess.
Like in her happy life, she only directs a Christmas pageant that like no one makes money from and doesn't actually involve real acting. And then the rest of the year, like her kids are school. I don't know. I just like, all right, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. She has no life outside of Christmas, which sounds pretty dope.
Yeah.
Her daughter's like really like pushing for some nepotism. She doesn't want to audition. That's not how they do things until later.
Yeah, and then she has her daughter audition, and then they go to this party at the mayor's house, and like some of the kids are being mean to her daughter. And like so her daughter gets sad, and it's also like I'm sorry, but it's like this little girl with like braces and a lisp who's like bullying her daughter. And I'm sorry, I was like, these are children. I'm not trying to make fun of them, but I was like, I don't know. I don't know
You're the popular girl, really?
she's the popular one, and her daughter's like this really cute. Like I was like, I kind of feel like my only theory was like maybe these kids are racist because she's like the only black girl. Like, but I was just like, how is she, how is this other little girl?
I was in junior high at some point. There's no
Right.
way this girl with braces would be the most
Like I was
popular
like, this
girl.
is just a little girl who looks like she's in middle school and has braces and a lisp and like, you know, is wearing the same goofy outfit as the rest. And this little boy's like, you're so pretty. And she's like, I'm mean to this other girl. And I was like, I know that bullying is very arbitrary when you look back on it, but there's still like a system for it. You know,
there are rules set in place for bullying.
There are like it's reinforcing a power system. So I was like, okay, the only theory I could have is that these kids are racist and like maybe don't know they're racist. So then she's like sad, and then Meg comes and is like, what's going on? And she's like, they're all treating me like I'm a dork and like, you know, and I'm like, oh, and then she's like giving her a pep talk. She's like, you know, I was really bad at singing, and that's why I became, you know, I wanted to act, I wanted to sing, and that's why I became like in charge, which it's so funny in this scene because it's like, yeah, you're in charge of a pageant.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying she should feel like be mean to herself about it, but I'm like, she's like, don't worry, now I do a pageant.
Yeah.
That's not really healing from whatever that is. And of course, the whole time Ted is like listening through the door and he's like, okay, my wife's in there. She's being nice to her. And I'm like, I don't know. You can be nice to a sad little girl without being her mom.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like I try to do that as someone who doesn't have kids. Like you can be nice to kids without being their mom.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's true.
Yeah.
So in order to completely make her daughter feel much, much better about herself, she decides to make her an assistant producer, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Nepotism. That's all I'm saying.
I love that she's like, her logic is it would just be too much nepotism to put my daughter in this pageant, but having her be in charge of it is fine. I'm like, that's way worse.
Yes, thank you. You're like, you made her the boss.
And also now the other kids are really gonna not like her. So like, good job. She's gonna have no friends.
Also, I need to point out that maybe a lot of people do, but Meg does not dress for the weather in this movie.
Oh no.
In this scene specifically, she's wearing a sweater vest with nothing underneath it, just like no sleeves, sweater vest. She was walking around town in her satin pajamas.
Nobody is wearing a puffer in this. No one's wearing a puffer. No one's wearing boots.
There's snow on the ground, so you know it's frozen there.
Yeah, like it's in the 30s, okay, or lower. Yeah, and like this is definitely a town where you know there's wind, right? Like, it's gonna be like cutting your face weather.
Yes, absolutely. It made me mad. You have to be freezing. Wait. Okay, so then we go back to the party, and everyone in town is pissed off because their kid didn't make the play or the right part or something else or some other thing, and parking tickets now. And apparently like 5 people live in this town.
What? Like all Meg's fault because like she suggested that the mayor like give everyone, she's like, just put up confusing signs and then give people tickets, which I did think that was kind of a funny read of like how it is in a lot of cities. I was like, that's funny.
Yeah, for sure.
Like it is like, it does trap people. But yeah, the fact that the mayor just does everything she says right away and he's never thought of it. I'm like, come on, he's in politics. He's got to be a little bit of an asshole.
I mean, he doesn't have internet, so he doesn't know.
He doesn't know how to take advantage of people. You got to Google that. So then everyone's like, I never got a ticket before and my kid's auditioning. I wrote down, one man just yells bribery. Like they're panning across the room to show everyone that, and he goes, bribery. And I was like, what? He values.
That's great. Ted tries to talk everyone down. He tells a piano player who is there now, hey, play Toyland. And then he gets a microphone. Don't know where that came from. He's like, I'm going to sing my favorite song. and he starts singing Toyland, which that's your favorite song? All right,
Really?
dude.
And like, and then he sings it badly, and then everyone's like laughing, like, oh, that's so fun. No, that would never happen. Everyone would be like,
No.
what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Like, does he need to like be taken home? And then he starts dancing with Meg in front of everyone, and then it's like that just de-escalates. I'm like, no, everybody would be like, are they okay? Is he manic? What's going on?
Thank
Like,
you.
what is happening?
I think we need to take the eggnog away from him because he has been shooting it all night.
We've
It's
got to give him some
gross.
water, and like, I hope he's okay. Let's check on him tomorrow. Like, no one's gonna be like, wow, what a great way to end the party.
So fun, you guys. So then Meg and Ted go outside and they're like, oh, we do love each other, probably, maybe, or something. I don't know. I wasn't paying
She tells him
attention.
that it was like the most fun night of her life, and I was like, please.
Come on.
His character has like done cocaine at least once.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure that was more fun than this.
Yes, multiple times off of multiple asses. Come
Yeah.
on. And and then their kids start calling for their dad from inside the party. The sound in that scene was wild because it was completely silent, and then you would hear their kids yelling. You couldn't hear like party noises or music or anything, just like dad. It was weird. So he goes back in. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to echo that. Yeah, he goes back in, and then Mayor comes out, and the mayor's like, so I'm into your proposition. And she's like, what? And he's like, you're so smart, and you're like, worldly, and you've helped me make all this money. Let's have an affair. And she's like, oh no, I actually love my fake husband now. And he's like, and then of course, like his wife, who we've never seen or met or know anything about before now,
Uh-huh.
is looking out the window with Ted, and they're just like, oh no, they're having an affair.
Yeah.
He like
You know
leans
what?
into
They
her
know this.
kiss,
They
and
know
Meg is like,
they know they're
oh, sorry.
having an affair because Ted hands her a novelty motel key. What?
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he like leans in for a kiss, and of course she turns away, and that's like the moment that Ted looks out the window, and Penny, I think, is the name of
Yeah.
Mayor's wife. And so then Ted comes out, and he's like, well, you finally found a way to like get out of this. Like, you've obviously, like, I've been in denial. You've been telling me you're not my wife, and like now I know it's true. And she's like, no, I just had the best night of my life while you sang Toyland. How will I ever? I'm so sorry.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm gonna go leave and go home, and you can follow me or whatever. Let's just leave the kids at the mayor's house.
Yeah. I mean, the kids will be fine. They're gonna figure it out in therapy when they move to the city and become worldly.
uh, we get back to not auditions. What's it called?
Pageant,
Yeah, pageant
whatever the
practice.
hell.
Yeah, I don't know.
Practice. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They spend way too much on it without
Yeah,
as much from it.
exactly. And for some reason, Teddy, the son, crawls out the window and escapes. I mean, you could have gone out the front door, kid.
They're like
It's
looking
fine.
for him, and they're like, where is he? And then he's just like sitting by a tree, and then he starts yelling. He's like, I'm here. And I'm like, what? So he didn't even run away, which I mean, fair. Like kids do that. They'll like run down the
Mhm.
block, and then, but like, he's just like, I'm here. I'm here. And they're all like, where is he? And he's like, I'm here. And then they're like, oh no. And then they're like hugging, and Meg's like, oh no. And then of course Ted's looking at Meg like, yeah, this is your fault because you're cheating on me. And I'm like,
Mhm.
what? This is when the movie like really starts to fall apart even more again. It's like it kind of started to have a shape, and then at this point it just starts to be like, oh yeah, we never actually figured everything out, so it's just gonna like the third act is just gonna kind of like fumble.
Yeah, it's going to be like a snowball going down a hill, but it's not going to get bigger. It's going to
No,
get smaller, maybe break apart a little bit.
there's gonna be some piss in it.
uh, Eric, oh, that's right. Eric puts up an eviction notice on Ted's house,
Yeah,
and I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Eric says
So,
that he owns the whole forest now, and like that he's taking down the house, and I was like, okay, sure, movie. Like, I don't even have the energy to argue with you about this, but
right?
apparently he already bought it from the old dude who said he'd never sell it. And now like, and they have no rights with their house. Like, I know people get their houses torn down because of developers, but I was just like, what?
Yeah, so did Old Man Barnes own Ted's house all along?
Right. I was like,
Like,
wouldn't he still have the house, or like, or at the very least they would have like notice, like they'd have like a month to get off the land or
nah,
something.
I,
So
they
they're like, on Christmas Eve you must leave your house.
what?
You
Oh,
can sell the trees. It was also like, if they really wanted to make money, they would have like not just torn down the trees. They would have done something where they like grow a monocrop, or like, I was just like, this cutting down trees once actually isn't going to make you that much money, but sure,
no, yeah, exactly.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah. So they go to
Airbnb a tree house will make you more money.
absolutely. There's a town meeting about it, and everyone's like, Old Man Barnes, how could you do such a thing? And he's like, you guys were mean to me and wouldn't give me the Santa roll, so fuck you guys.
Yeah, no, he's so
Basically.
mad that he didn't get the Santa roll. He's like, I've changed. And I'm like, what? He's like, and then they're all like, yeah, the town has gotten different. And it's obviously because this horrible woman who had a job in the city is there. They're like, oh, there's like a woman who had ambitions,
God damn it, women who think for themselves suck.
destroying our community. And so they're all like squabbling. It's very much like Eve. Like, it's like Eve ate the apple and now we're all corrupt and the Garden of Eden is being torn down.
Thanks a lot, assholes.
Exactly.
So, blah, blah, blah. Next day, she runs into Sal making snow angels as a cop. Ugh.
I'm
Hey, it
gonna
looks.
admit that from here I'm so confused. So like,
Mhm.
it's like clear, this is my take, like it's clear that Ted is like, okay, we're done. And then Sal is finally like, there's a magic bridge that
You
can,
had the power in you all along. You
so
just
like
had
the
to
whole
click your
time you could have
heels.
left this to go back to your like actual life, and I'm
Mhm.
going to show you this magic bridge.
Uh-huh.
And so like Meg's like, yeah, I gotta leave. Like, I fucked things up here and I gotta leave this dream. And it's at this point, it's very unclear whether Meg really still thinks that this is like fake or not. Like,
Yeah,
the movie doesn't really know whether it's so confusing.
it's so confusing. I really fucking checked out.
I like, she's at this bridge, and then she asks Sal, she's like, can you promise me one thing? Will Ted be okay? And then Sal's like, basically like, well, probably not. So then she goes back to Ted and like hits on him. She like kisses him on the cheek and he's like, oh, what?
Oh,
And she's
okay.
like really nice, as if that's gonna undo everything. And she like talks the mayor out of, like, she's like, actually, you're gonna make more money if you don't sell the forest. It's never clear really what her solution is. She's just like, don't worry, I'm gonna reverse engineer everything.
Yeah, she's like, I'm gonna get your money back because I'm gonna. It
I
was
do a
my
money thing.
right. It's this thing that my friend Josh likes to call save the rec center. I don't know if that's like a common term, but like,
I love
we're gonna
that.
put on a pageant and save the
Yeah.
town. And it's all gonna be because the townspeople are gonna buy tickets. Like, how many fucking tickets are they gonna, how much do these tickets cost?
Like,
This
we're
is
gonna
not
raise
possible.
$300 and it will fix everything. And like, and so like, then they do the pageant and it's awful, and there's like a point where her and Ted are dancing and it's bad and everyone loves it, and I'm like, no,
What the fuck was that?
I don't know what the hell that was, but like, I don't know. So yeah, i I was just like, sure, this is so offensive. Like, the idea that somebody in a small town like has never seen anything on TV or could have no taste in media is so offensive.
Uh-huh.
Like, I mean, the thing with these movies is like, they make it so binary, and it's so like, people in small towns are better people, but also they're stupid and sheltered. People in the
Yes.
city are evil, and I'm like, no, people are evil everywhere and also great everywhere, and whatever.
Yeah. It's a whole melting pot of whatever the fuck. Like, you
Whatever the fuck is
guys.
going on. Yeah. So then it's like, after that, then she does wake up.
Yeah, I don't even know how it happened.
Literally, like, I rewinded and I was like, I don't know what's happening. So then she wakes up, she's on set, and she's like, hey Sal, actually, everyone can go home. We don't need any more footage, which I was like, really? And she gives Sal like tickets to Cirque du Soleil. I was like, is this like a plug? Like Cirque du Soleil needs to sell more tickets, so they're like, put it in this movie.
Absolutely. I mean, if they're going to, it's going to be through this movie.
Obviously.
She
And
gets her boss tickets for a train or something. Like she said something. I was like, I don't fucking
yeah,
okay.
she's like, what are we getting him? Oh, I've got a better idea. And she's just like, and she's like, and she has an errand because she has to get the snow globe fixed. And she's like, actually, I can do that. And that's how the movie tries to tie in her like reconnecting with Ted. And so I guess there's like some sort of weird time jump where this whole dream is like a prophetic thing for her, because then she goes to see Ted and he's not married and he doesn't have kids. And he's like, okay, she shows up to his house, which is
Okay. Okay. And she's just like looking in the window for a really long time of his house. And the lady comes out and she's like, hey, you want to come inside? Because why the fuck are you looking in my window right now, creep? Like, what the fuck was that?
So, and she's like, and the woman, instead of being like, what's your deal? Is like, no one should be alone for Christmas. I'm sorry. No, what the fuck are you talking about? This is weird. So she lets her in, and of course Meg assumes, okay, well, this like pretty woman must be Ted's wife, and then it's his sister, and she's there with her husband and kids. And so, and Ted, instead of being like, why the fuck is this woman from college at my house with a snow globe, he's like, oh my god, I'm so honored to see you.
This is the dopest thing that ever happened on Christmas. Thank
I
you.
have never, and I'm like, I'm sorry, like things do not depend on like looks or whatever, but Donald Faison's a handsome man. The idea that like he has never met a woman since college and like no one ever would want to hang out with him. Like this movie, I feel like this movie really frames him as desperate. Yeah. And like I'm like, come on, like you got to give us. Yes, you did make his character incredibly annoying, but like
he's
there's
so
a lot of
charming and fun and adorable. Like
they just make him so desperate. And I'm just like, most people have options, you know, like, so he's just like, wow, you're here. And at first I thought maybe he was starstruck because she's like a director and maybe he knew her work, but it's not really clear. It just seems he remembers her.
Yeah, from college like, when they dated.
And he's like, I can fix the snow globe for you. And that's
because he made it. He was the one that made it.
Also, how the fuck do you fix a broken glass snow? Like what? And then just like fast forwards and it's like 10 years later, look, they're married and the kids are here, which doesn't make sense because the kids are definitely not like under 8.
No, not at all.
So I'm like,
what are you guys talking about?
What? So like now she has like an 11-year-old like 10 years late. I'm sorry, what?
And why are they living in that house now instead of his sister? And
it was his sister's house. Did he just kick her out? They're like, now that she, like I don't like I
maybe they all died in a car accident.
And then it's like the fucking ornament of like Christina Milian that's like, that's my mom. What?
How did you not recognize her? She was all the fuck over town.
So it's like his mom is wingmanning him the whole movie. I don't get it.
And that's the movie.
Gave me a concussion. Like I think it gave me brain damage.
Same. Oh my God. Okay, so as for best lines, they were all so fucking wink, wink, nudge, nudge that I don't even want to say them. And I already said both of them that I picked. It's the one about the no. I'll be home by Monday, just in time for therapy. Okay.
Love it.
All right. And then there was, this is the best concussion ever.
Yeah, that was mine also. So like maybe that's our top.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that would be like my review of it also would just be like the best concussion ever. Like my alternative name for this is like a very Christmas concussion.
Because mine is a concussion for Christmas.
Perfect.
Or a very concussed Christmas.
Ooh, I love these.
Yeah,
like this is definitely the most festive concussion movie I've ever seen.
So having talked completely about it, how do you feel about it now?
I mean, I would never recommend it to anyone, but
Mm,
I think that we've wrung a lot of joy out of talking about it.
agree.
Yeah,
I
like
feel like a
it didn't
Christmas
make
type.
me angry like some movies. It
uh
just confused me.
yes, 100%. Yes. This movie was more entertaining than a lot of sci-fi asylum movies.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to like.
I think like with B movies for me, I do like the ones that are trying to be romantic or like really emotional in certain ways because
Mhm.
it's funny to follow that. Whereas sometimes if they have too much magic or sci-fi and they can't pull that off, then I'm just like, what am I holding on to?
Yeah. And I feel like they try and over explain things in sci-fi movies when they're bad, and that makes me crazy.
Yeah.
But this one, they're like, no, all this magic shit, we're not going to explain any of it. Fuck you guys.
They're like, it's Christmas. What else do you need to know? Come on, duh. I'm like, that's so true. Thank you for reminding me.
I needed that kind of Christmas spirit in my life. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that is going to do it for fucking Snow Globe Christmas.
I love it.
Thanks for joining us this week, everyone, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
And I should stop streaming here
Oh yeah, I'm gonna
and
stop my
stop
little
streaming.
record.